Hello. I am just waiting for my lovely guest, Jake, to join me. I hope that anybody here is happy and healthy. So today we're talking all about success and the journey to reach there. And I was just told he's having tech issues. Big full moon in Gemini, connection to Mars. There might be a few sort of harsh words here and there, but then it's also because Mars is retrograde currently, it would have been not quite as sort of in your face and fiery, more than likely a bit muted. Energies would have been bit muted, but it could have been a few sort of tense words in there. At the moment I'm just waiting for my guest to join me. I think he's having a few tech issues at the moment. Just good time to actually share information that you have and celebrate what you've learned from this lunar cycle so far, and if you've achieved any goals, really celebrate what you've done and keep maintaining the hard work you've done, because actually you need to feel good about what you're doing to continue what you're doing. It's kind of feel it and you believe it, then you're more likely to achieve it. I'm rambling, aren't I? Probably should prepare more. But I am very happy to say that my guest coming on shortly think it was episode 409. When I was on his channel, I was actually giving him a reading for this Libra's chart. Well, I'd have to look at his chart to tell you a bit more, but I wonder if he remembers something that I do. Say a little bit about him. So, as I said, my guest coming on very shortly is called Jake Fowler. He is a proud #1 author, Hunger for the Hustle, also international #1 best-selling author. Hunger for the Hustle, Volume 1, 28 Stories of Struggles to Success. Plumber by trade, an entrepreneur by choice. Heart-led, goal-oriented individual whose passions include travel, adventure, meeting new people, bringing people together and helping others. Jake is the owner and operator of multiple businesses worldwide. The host of the Hunger Puzzle podcast, as I said, co-editor and co-creator of the Hunger for the Puzzle book series. So I actually met Jake while I was in the Power Voice, which is run by Liz Brown and John Talarico. So what the Power Voice is, it's basically a platform to help you find your voice and to help you speak your truth and really turn your pain into your passion and share your struggles and things in a way that is really authentic and actually delivers your message so that, I believe Jake's here now. Let me just bring him in.
I am here.
Hello! I was waffling.
Technical. I'm glad you have the ability to waffle because I was having some technical issues, which means I'm actually doing this episode in the car with all my ring lights in here. So you've just got to make it work, haven't you? I'm just going to put the phone in. There is quite from your side, Emily.
That's what, sorry?
There's like a bit of feedback from your side, like a buzzy kind of audio feedback. Bit of background. Not there you go. Whatever you just did, whatever you did then made it disappear. Oh, it's back.
Oh, I think the sound tried to come on my phone. That's why.
Oh, there you go.
I went into my YouTube so that I could actually see your
yeah.
bio and read that out, and the sound tried to come on.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Right, it's all right. No problem at all.
Anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Like probably you were. I was rushing around a little bit to try and make sure it's here on time.
Well, now we can just take a breath and relax and enjoy the show. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a while since I've been on someone else's podcast, actually, so it's great to be here.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
My husband just told me I still got feedback.
Yeah, you have got feedback.
Is that better?
No, it's like a buzzy sort of. Might be a microphone thing. If you've got a pair of headphones, you can try instead. They're often a bit better. There you go. It's gone. Perfect. It's gone.
Oh,
whatever you just did. Whatever you just did.
Moved the microphone away slightly.
Yeah, that's it. It was too close to the speakers, so they're getting feedback.
Oh, naughty microphone.
These things happen. So how are you, Emily?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So I read out your bio. Well, congratulations again for the success of your book so far.
Thank you very much. Very, very much. I appreciate that. It's been a big project and one that's took a lot of energy, a lot of drive, a lot of patience, persistence. But none of that matters now because we got there and actually learned a lot along the way. So It attained bestseller status in 4 categories for that day. Do want to be transparent about that,
Wow.
because a lot of people have been talking to me about that. It's not bestseller on Amazon. We're not talking bestseller of Amazon. We're not talking New York Times bestseller here. It was bestseller on Amazon in four categories across the world. Relevant categories: business and entrepreneurship and mindset, things like that. But yes, very
Wow.
proud of it. Very pleased about it. And we're only just getting started. It's a 3-stage rocket launch. The ebook is first, and that is out now.
Yes, yeah, I've read
Yeah.
quite a bit of it so
Oh,
far.
have you? Oh,
Yeah, really
exciting! Did you enjoy it?
enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Did you
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
my
really enjoying
story?
it. I have read your story,
Oh,
yes.
that's brilliant. That's great. What did you think? I haven't had any feedback on my story yet, apart from not from anyone who's bought the book, at least. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was good. I was thinking about how you were talking about obviously your path from the UK to Australia, and how you wanted financial and sort of, what's the word, business and travel freedom.
Yeah, financial and time freedom. To essentially,
Time freedom, that's the
yeah,
one.
essentially live life on my own terms and on my own schedule.
Yeah,
Now, it's interesting because I've certainly achieved that. The financial end, it wavers, it comes in and out, but that's entrepreneurship, right?
yeah.
There's some things in play which I know I'm heading in the right direction to get to
Mm.
that stage solid. But certainly the time freedom, the side of it, I've been traveling pretty much for a year straight whilst working and running various companies. So it's the dream has been achieved, in the largest part. I mean, what's more important, the money or the freedom? For me, is probably the freedom. Of
Yes, I
course,
agree.
the level of freedom is closely connected to, I guess, the amount of money you have in a way, because the more, I guess, money enables things, doesn't it? It makes things happen in some way.
Yeah.
So the more of it you've got, it means that you can do more things with it. And when that involves things that I like to do, like travel and
Mm.
exploring the world, then. But I've been enjoying doing it on more of a restricted budget, and getting out there in a way that's kinder, I think, also not just to my wallet, but to the world around me. Less polluting,
Mm.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the goals, but my chapter, landing in the land down under, it pulls parallels from my own story, draws parallels, sorry, between my own story and a relative of mine I call my Uncle Bud. He was my great great
Yeah.
uncle on my grandmother's side. Came to Australia from Scotland almost 85 years to the day that I did. He would have arrived on a boat. Actually, I arrived on a plane. It took him 3 months. It took me 22 hours. So a slightly different journey, but
Just a bit.
one that all the same, I'm sure we had a lot of the same emotions along the way. Is this
Mm.
going to be what I want it to be? Is it all going to work out? Am I going to make it? Essentially, am I going to survive? Am I? And anyone who's watching this knows, as an immigrant to another country, I moved from England to Australia. Um, it's it's not easy. It's
No.
difficult starting again. It's difficult making your own way in the world again, because no one really cares what you've done in the UK. They just want to see what you can do here, and it really, really, really grows you as a person. Particularly the first few. I'm going to say the first few months are reasonably easy, but it's the the years the years get hard as things go on, and the first few months are a bit fun. I suppose you're just enjoying things, um, not being too serious about it. But then when you start reaching and stretching towards those goals, it can become difficult and it can become challenging. But if you're willing to have the patience and know that it's going to take time, and the persistence, and know that it's not going to happen straight away, then there's going to be huge value in the journey of it for you. And now I'm a permanent resident of Australia. I have my business Paddock Blade here that I operate, and in the UK, which is actually my father's business, but I help him with it. Xfire Australia is a company I'm involved with, which is kind of random how that came about, but we can maybe get to that in a bit. It's a company that sells non-toxic fire retardant. And of course the podcast and the book, which I guess brings us pretty round to full circle of a good answer to the question.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask you, what are some of the struggles that you've come across in your journey from the UK to Australia, and with business, and also writing the book?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, I think a lot of the things I've come up against are things that we all come up against. You know, the imposter syndrome,
That's a big
the
one.
lack of, yeah, can I do this? Am I worthy? Can I get past this adversity? Especially when you're so far away from your family and your friends. You're so far away from them, and they're not always just available at the other end of the phone call because of the time difference. Your days are polar opposites essentially. So, and yeah, it can be challenging. In the first few years, I get used to it now. You don't get so lonely, and you don't really you miss the people. But I guess it's the way I look at it is it's always I'll see you later. It's never goodbye, and that's a nice way to frame it. I think it works for me certainly. So those were the main challenges I think with Australia, and you asked me about challenges with the business. Well, I mean, cash flows are a big problem. It's what they say. It's true what they say. More money, more money, more money, more problems. More money, more problems. Also figuring out, because some of my industries are quite niche, how to advertise to those people, and how to address them in the right way with the right tone. And that takes, the way you're going to find that out these days is with content. Posting an awful lot of organic content out on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Pinterest, on LinkedIn, and seeing what lands. The test bed of the live pulse of your business is out there in social media, and you're going to post stuff, and the audience will tell you what it likes and what it doesn't like, and then you repurpose what does work into paid content, and that should hopefully get you some business. That's the theory. It doesn't always work out like that, let me tell you, particularly as of late. A challenge as of late has been Facebook advertising has got increasingly more expensive and less productive. So, both of those things just are a perfect storm if you've been, and luckily we haven't been relying on them. But the thing I learned from that is don't always, it's an old adage, but it's a true one. The old ones are always the best. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if someone breaks the basket, all the eggs break as well. So I think it's something you have to bear in mind. But the struggles with the book, now this is a really good one, and in fact, the struggles with the book are some of the struggles that I've had, to be quite completely honest and transparent with you, in business, is mindset and mental health, and not keeping a good, healthy mindset, i.e. depression is the word. The reason that this book took 2 years to get out is because right in the middle of it, I went into a deep, dark depression. And for a long time, I was stuck there. For a long time, I couldn't figure out a way out. I knew I was going to get out of it, but I had no idea how long it took. And I had fantastic support of phenomenal people around me who were just there for me at every turn, really good friends and family members, and blessed for that. But it became very difficult. It became a daily struggle of just kind of getting stuck in the mud and not really feeling like you were making any advance. But I pulled myself out of that, and I'm a better man for it, and I'm better equipped and stronger for it. Adversity introduces one to themselves. It really does. And it's when you have challenges, when you have things that go wrong, when you have failures, that's when you learn the most. You don't really learn much when everything's going right, when everything's just going smoothly and coasting through. There's not really much you're going to learn from that. You're going to learn when things get difficult. You're going to learn when things get challenging, and you're going to learn ultimately when you have to figure out a better way or a new way because the current way isn't working.
Yeah. And what sort of ways did you use to kind of battle the depression and get back on track?
And it was a
Is
battle.
this something you can recommend to people going through it?
Yeah, I've got a lot for people going through it. And the first thing I would like to say, if anyone's watching this live now or they're watching it later, just I'm going to, from the bottom of my heart, knowing what you're going through, have been through, may go through in the future, just make sure you love yourself, because there's nothing wrong with you. It's just you're going through a difficult time, and you will get through this time. You will get through it, and you'll be stronger for it. You'll be better for it. You'll come out way more equipped, and you'll look back on it and you'll be like, I do, at least anyway. This may not be the journey for everyone, but I look back on my struggles with massive amounts of gratitude, massive amounts of thanks, because if I hadn't gone through that, then perhaps I would have kept making the same mistakes. Perhaps I would have kept repeating the same patterns, i.e., not facing up to things, not not finding out the deeper reasons as to why things were as I wanted them to be, and
Mm.
not taking care of myself in the way that I needed to get the results I wanted. But I think that's the key thing. The key thing is maintaining self love and knowing that you're going to be okay, and talking to people about it is really, really important as well. Um, if you absolutely don't feel like you can talk to anyone you know, then there's a lot of helplines out there that you can call. The Samaritans is the first one that comes to my mind. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, and I must say that I didn't ever use a service like that. I don't think, anyway. No, I didn't. I was blessed enough to have family and friends that were there for me at every turn, and they really were. And I love you, all of you guys. If you're watching this now or later, I don't need to tell you who you are, because you know. But journaling helps as well. Journaling helps. That
Mm.
the exercise of
Yeah.
getting things out of here, and the cathartic process of that coming down through your arm and the ink bleeding out onto the page, along with all the other crap that may be stuck in your head. Meditation is great. It kind of resets your nervous system. It brings you back into yourself instead of being all up here or out there. It brings you more into here, more centered.
Mm.
And what else? I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to think about it, because it's an important. I'm glad you asked me the question. I mean, it's an important question
No
that we
worries.
need to be asking each other more. And
Yeah.
anyone that's been through it has some value from it. I think
Yeah.
being kind to yourself is just the most important thing, and realizing that you're not alone. That a lot of people go through it, and you'll never see it when you're in it, because you can't see the wood through the trees, but you will come through it and you will get better. Like I'm going to use one of his quotes. I love it. It's one of my favorite. It gets said in the book, actually, one of my quotes by my mentor and the guy who wrote the foreword for the book, Les Brown. If
Mm.
life knocks you down,
Yes.
make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that is a good way to wrap it up. That, and which actually wrap up the answer to the depression question. The other part of it is, and this is a big one, listen to positive messages. Listen to people like Les Brown.
Mm.
Listen to people like Jim Rohn. Listen to people like Brian Tracy. Listen to people like Bob Proctor. Listen to people like Tony Robbins, because they're going to help you to get to a place inside yourself that you can't get to within yourself. And I don't care who you are, what walk of life you're from. Sooner or later, life's going to get difficult. It's going to get challenging. It's a given. It's a given that life is going to get difficult and challenging. But what is a necessity is that you know that and are equipped with the right tools to battle it, because life is a battle and it's a struggle, and it's going to get like that for all of us. So listening to those messages, and all of it's free now it's on YouTube. As long as you can get some kind of internet connection, it's free. If not, you can find it in
Mm.
books. But yeah, listening to those constant positive messages, and not listening to the news, not listening to CNN, constant negative news. I don't think there's any value in modern day media. I actually think that what a lot of modern day media is doing is just trying to be first. It's not trying to be honest. It's just trying to be first, and it doesn't care who gets hurt along the way. So I think dialing into that and all the negativity of it at scale, um, holds no value, particularly if you're not feeling 100% within yourself. It just makes you think that the world is a much worse place than it actually is.
Yeah, I do remember when well, you've heard my story as well when I was part of the Power Voice with you. Yes. And I will ask you a little bit about Les Brown and John Tallarico in a bit. But first of all, while we were still on the topic of basically struggles to success and the mind and positive outlook and all this sort of thing, I thought it'd be worth mentioning how I got out as well. So yes, I spent
please do,
many years of my life unfortunately under a cloud, as it were. And the way that I saw it was that the world was a stage. And I think there is actually a quote saying that all the world is a stage. I think it might be Shakespeare. I can't remember.
It is. I can't remember the quote, but it is definitely. I know the lines of it. Yeah, but I know what it sounds like. Yeah, all the world is a stage. I think it might be all the world is a stage, and something like you are the actor or you are the orchestrator. Basically, it's yours. You're in control of it and how it goes. But sorry, please do go on. I think it'd be really useful to people get a female perspective on how you got out of it as well.
There is actually these days, Gabby Bernstein kind of goes, I don't know whether you've heard of her, but she goes along the same lines of choosing the next best thought. And that is exactly what I did, but nobody told me to do it. I had no sort of help getting out of it. It was just my mind. So I literally told myself one day, the world gives me enough rubbish, enough slack and enough hurt. I don't need to be beating myself up as well. So each time that I was in that place of feeling pretty awful and thinking there was no way out, I would literally think, well, what's the next best thought? What did I do today that was something useful? I got out of bed. I should actually congratulate myself for that as a starting point. And it was okay. So rather than telling myself I was stupid, which was the running negative, because everyone has that narrative when they're in the depths of depression, there is some kind of narrative that repeats and unfortunately gets worse and worse until you realize that actually, as you're saying, the best relationship that you can have, showing that love and kindness to yourself, not just everyone else, because there's the sort of trap of people pleasing and there's the trap of, oh, what should I be doing? But if you constantly should yourself, you're in a place that is not as aligned, not as authentic, and not as peaceful or productive. So yes, I was telling myself the next best thoughts, and I was journaling every day, and I got to a point where there were about 13 journals, and I decided one day I'm just going to get rid of them, because if I read them, I will be probably reiterating some of the hurt, the pain, and the not so positive mindset. So each day I was telling myself the next best thought and the next best thought, and eventually my mindset was slightly better, and I was trying to write down daily gratitude. Okay, I did this today. That was okay today. This person came through for me today. This place was okay today. I learned this today. And each day there was something that I could look back on that was positive, rather than the 13 books of negative. So that's how I got out. And the big thing for me also, despite the sort of negative mindset, was pain. Pain from inflammatory bowel disease. So that in itself was frustrating. But we do store a lot of trauma within the body, and I do feel that via that vagus nerve, that is the issue. There is a lot of your mind and your struggles are within your gut as well as within your brain, and that gut-brain connection, if that is affected in any way, will keep sort of going back to itself. It's a constant loop. So when you start one of those, so in my case, started the brain first, and then the gut started behaving as well. But the big thing that also helped was looking at my hips, because a lot of our trauma is stored in our hips. Wow. So I did some yoga, and yoga was another way to restore a lot of my health and well-being in a way, because I was moving the stored trauma I had in my hips from unfortunately past like abuse and stuff, but it's kind of yeah, when you move all of the things, you have a positive mindset. There are so many things we can go from there.
Absolutely.
But let's get back to the positives.
Yeah, and I'd like to well done for getting out of that and getting over it. I think it was symbolic, isn't it? Getting rid of those books. I don't know how you got rid of them. It would have been nice to burn them. That would have been very symbolic. But it's because you actually
I ripped them up.
Yeah, fantastic. There you go. Great. It's a physical thing that you actually do to, instead of just putting them in the bin.
Yeah.
You saw them get destroyed, and we, along with that, it's symbolic. The everything that was in there got destroyed too. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. I've done something similar. Actually, a part of a program that I did, funny enough, with under the guidance of John Tallarico, was called Thinking into Results. It's by the Proctor Gallagher program, and John is one of the guys that teaches that fantastic program and a big investment into yourself. But that's one of the what's the word, chapters, I guess, of the program. You write all the self-limiting beliefs down on a piece of paper and you burn it. You burn it, and it's very symbolic. It's very relieving. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that your trauma's held up in your hips. That makes a lot of sense to me. It makes sense as to why people at scale, not just myself, I'm relating this to, do yoga and feel better.
So how was it then? How did you manage to get Les Brown and John Tallarico to be part of your forward of your book? I seem to remember there's a promise within the Power Voice, but I'll let you tell me.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the simplest answer was I just asked, right? Because if you don't ask, the answer's always no. Obviously,
Yeah.
Sounds obvious, but we get so stuck in that sometimes. Oh, I'm not going to ask because of the fear. The false evidence appearing real. What if they say this? What if they say that? All they're going to say is bloody no if they don't want to. It's all they're going to say, But luckily, both of them did want to. And what we came out with and what they came out with as a forward was fantastic. Nobody could have told me 3 years ago that I was going to. I still have to pinch myself now. To it's surreal. No one could have told me that I was going to put a book together with another gentleman who lives in Canada, and it was going to feature people from America, from Canada, from the UK, from Australia. And the foreword was going to be written by Les Brown and John Tallarico. I mean, I didn't know John until then, but I definitely knew Les. I've been following Les for years up until that point. And amazing. It's amazing what you can achieve with, and you never know where life's going to take you with good intentions. But winding back from that, I mean, how did I get involved with Les at that level to be able to ask him, to do something like that? Well, that was because I'll give the Reader's Digest version because I'm sure you've got things you want to get through, and I know we were running a bit behind because I was late. Essentially, in the quiet time of 2020, Les Brown started running programs online. I got involved with those programs, but I didn't just get involved with them. I went after them. I knew that was my opportunity to work with Les, and I knew it was an opportunity to do it at a reasonably low barrier of entry in terms of price. So I went after it. I was literally, I'd be doing them classes, the Power Voice classes, in my van. I had 2 phones at the time. I'd set I should have been at work. I was getting paid to do those classes. It was hilarious. I'd set the guys up on a job and then say, I've got to go off to this other job. And then I had one work phone and a regular phone. I'd divert my work phone to my other phone, put all the divert that one to voicemail so no one could call me, and then use the hotspot off that phone with my laptop on the dashboard to do the Power Voice programs with. And I did that for about a month or so. And then we went on from there. I was the first one to speak at the Power Voice inaugural Verse Power Voice event. Did a fantastic job there. I was really proud of what I did. After that, I did the podcast. And then one day my friend Michael Bridgman said, why don't you do a book? I said, I haven't got time. He said, we could do a collaborative book. Turns out I still didn't have time. But it's done. And Les wrote the foreword. And that's all that matters, is that it's done. It doesn't matter. It's interesting and intriguing, of course, the journey. But the main thing is it's done and we have it. And got to do a quick plug while I'm here. You can get your copy for $3 still, less than you can get your copy for less than a cup of coffee. Just search Hunger for the Hustle book on Google. It'll come up. It's the first thing you're going to come across in Amazon. Proceeds go to a charity, a fantastic charity that supports research into a rare form of children's cancer for children in the UK. So it's all good. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. It's good for the way in which you interact with others because of the way it develops you. And it's also going to be good for the helping those little kids.
Yes, definitely. I highly recommend it too. Go get your copy.
Yeah, go get your copy. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. It means a lot to me that people enjoy it. You know, it's a 2-year long project, and I know how good it is. But it's not about me. It's about contributing and being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Because when you take part in things that are bigger than you, you become bigger. Your spirit becomes bigger, and the way in which you interact with people becomes bigger, and you make the world a better place.
Yes, definitely. Beautiful words there.
Thanks. I'll try my best.
So what did you learn actually from when you were on stage, our virtual stage due to the COVID scenario, but with Les Brown? What did you learn from those moments?
I learned what my message, number one, what my message was. I learned, which is about going after what you want with unwavering faith, despite the challenges along the way, and bringing in my own anecdotal stories of that. And also talking about how you have to take some time and some patience. It's not all going to come at once. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take persistence and patience. You know, what's the equation now? Persistence divided by patience plus persistence divided by time equals success. I think I came out with that in that speech, but patience plus persistence divided by time equals success. That is a good formula for success. There's very many ingredients that you're going to need to get things across the line, but he taught me how to find my message, hone my message, and then articulate it in such a way that it was understandable and deliverable to other people, without making it complex, whilst keeping it simple. Also taught me I'm from Birmingham, England, where generally we all talk really fast, and one word just kind of rolls into another one, and you often tend to mumble, which you've probably noticed I've been doing that. Not the mumbling. I try not to do that when I'm speaking publicly, but definitely the speaking really fast thing. And people from other countries can't understand what I'm saying, so taught me to slow down, to take a breath, to listen to the listening, because that's what you're doing when you're speaking. It's actually, public speaking is a two-way conversation, but only one person is speaking. Everybody's listening. Everybody's listening. You are speaking, but you're listening. You're looking for the response from the crowd. Now, it becomes even more difficult when you're doing that in a digital way, because you're listening through the comments or you're looking at the emotions of people on the screen. But that's what it's about. It's about the listening to the listening, and relaying that to your audience in a way that's digestible to them. And remembering that one of the things I'll never forget he said to me is, never let what you want to say get in the way of what the audience want to hear. I think that's fantastic. Yes. I'm going to repeat that. Never let what you want to say get in the way of what the audience want to hear, because you've got to remember that you're there to provide a service. And to provide that service, like anything, you have to do your research into who you're speaking to. You have to know who you're speaking to, why you're there, what your purpose is there, and how you're going to drive them. How you're going to get the butter from the duck, as Leslie used to say. That always used to make me laugh. We're going to get the butter from the duck. That's what he used to say. I'm sure he still does. Yeah. So, but a phenomenal man. You know, I'd set the goal many years before that I wanted to be trained by Les. I knew there was a speaker within me. And when the opportunity came, I just went for it. And that's what you got to do. You got to seize opportunities when they come to you, because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And things are only often going to present themselves to you once. So I'm not a yes man, but I'm someone who says yes to a lot of things if they align with me and make sense to me. A big problem I used to have is capacity. And I did used to be a yes man, and I'd say yes to things when people go, I'll just say yes to everything and then figure it out. Well, I don't know about that, because then some things you're not going to come through on, and you're not going to have capacity to fulfill, and then you just end up getting stressed. So yeah, indirectly, I guess that was something I learned as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, there is quite a lot of value in that, isn't there? Knowing what you're actually capable of, showing up with integrity, and realizing that, yes, as you say, the audience is also as important as your message. It's not one or the other, it's both. And that is, well, that is so valuable to any kind of growth, particularly in the line of work that you're in, and well, both our YouTube and everything that we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah.
I'm building that know, like, and trust factor by showing my face more and realizing that I have value in the message that I'm delivering, and going ahead and giving more of what Les Brown and John Tallarico were able to, well, bring out of me, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, everybody needs a little bit of coaching, especially when you've got big goals. You know, success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. So you got to look at people who have succeeded in an area that you want to get into, and let them leave and follow that cookie trail. You know, see where it takes you. And you know, even if you don't believe in yourself, believe in their belief in you. And those gentlemen, John Tallarico and Les Brown, certainly believed in us, and that compounded by the fact that everyone else then believed in us who was within that group, created quite the force of people. You know, some people that have become incredibly great friends of mine, many authors of the book, and I think that it's been an endearing process, and one that's taken me and will continue to take me, because, as I said, we're only just getting started, to places that I don't even know about yet, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, who knows what the universe has in store for either of us. Just got to keep showing up for all the experiences that we want to be there for, and enjoy the journey as much as the results.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, that's a big one, enjoying the journey as much as the results.
Trying to think what else to ask you. I know you've been through so much.
Hasn't everyone? I mean, do you mind if I ask you a question? Is that okay?
Go for it. Yeah, let's.
Could I ask you, what was it that you learned from the Les Brown Power Voice Training Program?
I learned that I have a voice worth sharing. I learned that it was worth talking about all the experiences that I'd actually gone through and grown through, because actually there's so much growth within every experience, through the dark, through the light, and everywhere in between. I'd lost my father-in-law during that time, and that was one of the limiting belief things of, well, why did we have to lose someone so young, being in his 50s? And I reframed the story and telling how much the lessons I'd learned from losing him, and that actually his spirit is still here with us, and that it wasn't a loss, because we'd learned so much from the beauty of his presence. It was a shorter life than we wanted, but actually it was a life that was so impactful, and we still have fond memories of him sort of shouting whenever Arsenal were playing. And Ben still does it too, my husband. And so we went up.
He lives on.
Yeah, we went up to the Arsenal stadium with the flag that he had made for him, and he'd sewn on something to it, and we've inherited his his Vespa, which Ben will eventually do up for us, and we'll hopefully travel around and think of places that he would have visited and places that he might have liked to have visited, and sort of help his memory live on that way as well.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, there are lots of different things. So not every loss has to be final. There are so many things and layers that can still be grown from and lived from, and every life or every element has meaning, and it's up to us to tell that story in the best light and learn and grow from it. So yeah, there's been so much of a learning curve throughout, learning through Les Brown and John Tallarico, and what phenomenal people they are.
Yeah, they are.
So glad to have spoken to them briefly on calls at midnight here. I wasn't on them for very long because the timing, and my husband's still working, although I was forced to be at home. It's kind of, I'm trying to balance between not making him stay up too late and still getting the benefit of some of the live capacity of the calls, and then some of watching the replays, and still writing lots of things down and reframing limiting beliefs. That's been a huge learning curve there.
The reframing limiting beliefs, yes.
Yeah, so grateful.
Do you know, I looked recently. Also, I just want to say, while you touched on that, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry to hear that you lost your father-in-law. I can only imagine how difficult that was. But I like the way that you made it. Not made it okay. How can I put this? It's a delicate one. I like the way that you framed it in a way that you could deal with it easier. You know, I think that's a very sensible thing to do, because you can't change what's happened, but you can change the way you deal with it. So well done for that. But I looked the other day into the Power Voice stuff, and it's still all there. You know, if you log in, it's all still there. It's all still there. Yeah, it's all still there. All the recordings from all the shows. So I'm going to start downloading some of that stuff, because you know, who knows how long it may or may not be there for, but it's all still there at the moment.
I wonder if we can get permission from both Les and John to actually sort of share it somehow. And
it's a lot easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Yeah, I don't think they. I cannot speak for them. I was about to say I don't think they mind, but I cannot speak for them. Who knows?
But it'd be really cool if we could collaborate in writing somewhere as well, you and I, at some point.
Well, on that note, that's a very good segue. There is anyone who buys the book gets an exclusive opportunity, and that is an opportunity, not a confirmed, an opportunity to feature in future volumes, because this is going to be a whole series of books. There's going to be Hunger for Hustle, Volume 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've committed to releasing one every year. Michael doesn't actually know this yet, but I've committed to releasing one every year. Because we want to continue to provide value. We want to keep helping this worthy charity. We believe that it's the crazy people in this world who believe they can make a difference who actually do. And I will admit that I'm fairly crazy. So, yeah. But yeah, so there may well be an opportunity for you to feature in a future one, Emily. There's a section on our website that's currently being built at the moment, which anyone who has the book has to go on there with and take a photo of them with the book to be able to feature in this future volume. So get to Hunger for the Hustle on Google and get your copy if you haven't already, because it's a great book.
It is a great book. It is. Yes. And it's really cool as well, looking at all the people that I don't know how many are in there of the people that we actually did the Power Voice with, but there are quite a few that I've seen, and I'm thinking, oh yes, I know you had Janet McKay on here recently as well, and Jay Reese, and I was thinking, well, I don't remember whether Jay Reese was in the same one as us or whether he was in a future one, but
he was in the same training program, but he was in a different he was at a different summit. But 24 Power Voice speakers out of the 28. Yep, so a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them. 24 people that took part in the program are in the book.
Oh, amazing.
And then a few, actually, no, wait, they're 23. There's a few additional extras. My mother's in the book, my sister's in the book. And one of my close friends, Wayne Johnson, is in the book. So, yeah, it's also been something that's been very special to me, because I helped both my mum and my sister write their chapters. And it was a beautiful thing to do. That really was something I'll never forget doing.
I did love Jade's chapter, so kudos to her for getting her story out there.
Yeah, wasn't easy for her.
I did actually shed a tear.
Did you? Bless you.
Yeah.
She'd love to hear about that. You should give her a shout on Instagram. She'd love to hear about that.
Maybe
not making you cry. That sounds a bit strange, but just getting some value from it. You know, getting some value from it. Yeah. That's honestly, that really gets me, makes me want to cry, because it shows that the book is giving impact to people, which is what we wanted it to do. So, excuse me. Oh, I knew that was going to come. Excuse me. All right, back in the room.
So, how are you staying on top of your goals? Because I remember you saying something about having a goal list. So, how do you manifest your dreams into reality?
That's a good question, isn't it? It's not going to be a short answer. Never is, isn't there?
Me neither.
How do I manifest my goals, my dreams into reality? Well, it all starts with this. Things happen in two places. Things happen once up here in the mind, and then second in the physical realm. Everything you ever see around you, this phone that I'm communicating with you on, these speakers, this hat, this t-shirt they're wearing, this car that I'm sat in, all started with a thought in someone's mind. That's where everything came from. At first, there was people say, "Oh, the first thing was the word." It wasn't. It was the thought, the idea. There had to be a conceptual process of the thought, of actually articulating and letting that noise come out your mouth before the actual noise came out the mouth. So the thought is everything, and thoughts become things. Now, the reality of that is the things you focus on come around quicker. And the other reality inside that is, if you focus on negative things, then you get negative results. If you focus on positive things, then you get positive results. So for all intents and purposes, I focus on positive things. And for generally all intents and purposes, I get positive results. That's the Reader's Digest. But the extrapolated version is that I write a lot. And I've actually got a goal card right here in front of me. I have it on the speedometer of my car. I've got one. I use it as a bookmark in my book. So every time I read my book, which is morning and night, not my book, the one we produce, just generally any book I'm reading, I read that. You've got to constantly remind yourself and keep your goals present in your mind. You've got to read them morning, noon, and night, and know why you have those goals. Because if you don't know, there's a quote from Nietzsche: if you know the why, you can endure any how. So you've got to know the why of your goals, and you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard towards your goals. There's no substitute for hard work. One of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite people on this planet, Arnold Schwarzenegger, says, "You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets." And you can't, you've got to go after what you want in life with unwavering faith. But surrounding myself with positive, like-minded people helps as well. Surrounding myself with people who are in similar circles, who are going after similar things, who want to achieve, who want to deliver value, who want to help the world in some way. That's that really helps as well. Really helps get you there a lot quicker. And counterintuitively, surrounding yourself with people who don't understand your goals, who don't understand your vision, who have a limited vision, is actually, going to not disable, but it's going to send you off course in the mission to your goals. So I told you it wasn't going to be a short answer.
No. You know me being me. There's sometimes a line in my head. I want to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Oh, great track.
So
Lovely. Good job. Yeah, I love it. That's great. You got a good voice.
Thanks. Yeah, what was the quote? There was a quote that came through as well. I can't remember whether it was Les Brown or whether it was somebody else, but a lot of quotes that stick in my head often are. But we walk by faith. Yeah, we walk by faith, not by sight.
Yeah. So, I believe that's actually a quote out the Bible. And a lot of I believe so. I'm not too hot on the Bible, to be honest with you, but I believe that may well be a quote from the Bible. Yeah. We walk by faith, not by sight. Yeah, I think so. And another one I heard is, it's in the book from Beata Surin Reid. She says, the only thing worse than being blind is having no vision.
Yes. I love how you were talking about thoughts becoming things. And there was something else I was thinking about. Yes, we do think about things, and then we live them and we create them. But something that I feel is that we don't just think about them. Sometimes they start off as a feeling. And how do you want to feel? And that's how I manifest. I manifest on the feeling. I want to feel happier. I want to feel more aligned. I want to feel more compassion for myself, for the world around me. I want to feel all these things. And that helps me then write them down as intention, turn it into an affirmation that I can say on a daily basis, and then helps me get closer to doing what I'm doing, because then I'll create the actions that align with that. So that's kind of my manifesting.
I like that. That would be, you've given the longer scope of what I would do as well. Sometimes I do it the other way though. Sometimes I'm like, what's the thought? Is it valid? Is it what I actually want? And then kind of backwards do it.
Okay.
In a backwards way, if you're with me. That makes sense. Yeah. So I think, aligning your goals with your feelings and deciding what you what do you really want out of life? What do you really want out of your job? What do you really want out of a relationship? What do you really want out of a bank account? What do you really want? Because once you decide it and you go after it with unwavering faith and unconquering ability, then it's only a matter of time before it becomes yours.
Yeah, because the universe does the rest. You do halfway, and the universe says yes or no in some respects, and helps some of those
It
things
tries.
align.
It tries. No, it does. It does. There's no real such. There is no real such word as try, is there? Let's say. I attempted. You either failed or you either did it or you didn't. You either did it or you didn't. So, I think, goals are important. I'm a. What did they say? They asked me to write a bio for the book, and I said that I was I'm going to start at the beginning. A plumber by trade, an entrepreneur by choice, a heart-led, goal-oriented. I messed it up. A heart-led, goal-orientated individual is what I am. So, and I think that if you go into things with good intention and a fair amount of skill, you're going to get some good results out.
Yeah, I definitely go with my heart more than my head, but some people the other way around, but that's okay, whatever works for them.
Of course, yeah. We're all different people who like different things. If we all like the same thing, we'd be stuffed. They'd sell out of it awfully quickly.
So, do you want to share what some of the goals are on your list, as it were?
Yes, for sure. Just trying to think about that. Let me. I'll be honest and vulnerable enough to read this card that's right here that I've been working on for. And this is going to be a story. How much longer do you want to go for?
I don't mind.
I've probably got another 5 minutes or so, if that works with you, and the questions you have left. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Cool. So this goal I have in front of me was written on the 24th of November, a month before Christmas Eve. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it home for Christmas this year, but I damn sure I knew I wanted to, because Christmas in Australia, it just isn't the same. It's hot for a start, and your family could be there, but my family aren't here or aren't going to be for Christmas this year. So I knew I had to make it home, and there was a few challenges in that regard. And not long after I wrote this and started fixating and reading it every morning, noon and night, and also listening to, this is a big hot tip for anyone out there who's got a goal that they're working on. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, listen to, on repeat, Earl Nightingale's condensed version of it. It's 15 minutes on YouTube. It's called The Strangest Secret in the World, or as he likes to say it, the strangest secret in the world. So get that around you and write your goal card. It gives you instructions in that on how to do it. So the chief goal on here is to be home for Christmas with my family this year. And a few things led to that being possible. Some of them I'm not going to share on this podcast because they're a bit private. But it's all come into place and it's going to happen. And I'm actually on my way at the moment, heading south to the south of Australia to the airport to get my flight to be there with my family for Christmas. So that's one of the main goals on my list right now. And there's plenty more, let me tell you. There's plenty more. I used to have so many, a big list, but now there's A, B, and C type goals. A is something you know you can do. You've done it before. It might be buy a new car. It might be get a new job. It might be it's something you know how to do, something that you've done before and you know how to do. A B type goal is something you know how to do, but you haven't done before, but it's possible. Meet the love of your life, get married, have a child, start a business. And then a C type goal is something you have never done before and have no idea how to do, and it scares the hell out of you, but it excites you at the same time. And they're the kind of goals that create growth. And they're the kind of lists you want to be working with when you're working on your goals, I
think. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what would you like our listeners and people on the replay to remember about you, and what keeps you hungry? You've got to be hungry as well.
Are you asking me what feeds my hunger for the hustle?
What feeds your hunger for the hustle?
Yes, I love that. I love that. I've asked 120 odd people that question on my podcast, and many more throughout life. What feeds my hunger for the hustle? Well, I'll share with you guys who are watching, my values. And I don't know if we can see the comments on this, but if you like these values, then give it a thumbs up. And if you are listening later, then give it a comment, a like, a subscribe, or a share, based on the fact that you might have got some value from this, because value is important. It's what drives a lot for me. It's giving value. And my 3 values to myself are helping others, making a difference, and leaving things better than I found them. Leaving things better than I found them, making a difference, and helping others. They're my 3 things. I do everything in 3s. It's trifecta. 3 is the most powerful number in the world. 3 is the shape of a triangle, one of the most powerful, indestructible shapes in the world. The power of 3, the mastermind, when 2 become 1 and create a third. I digress. So they are my values, and I backwards engineered them, and I realised that they are a part of everything that I do. And service is the rent we pay for the space we take up on Earth. Service is the rent we pay for the space we take up on Earth. So how are you? If you do so wish, and I recommend, I'll prescribe that you do make a difference in this world. But how are people going to know that you came this way? How are you going to make a difference? How are you going to contribute so that when you're gone, they talk about you? So that when you're gone, they build your statue? So that when you're gone, they write your book? So that when you're gone, that you feature in that film, you feature in that track? Because you can, and it's in your hands to do, and it's perfectly capable for you to do. So that drives me. All of those things drive me. My want to achieve my goals, my attainment in them, and the knowledge and the faith that I was born on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. Yes. And you have to take some quiet time to figure out what that is. But you have value for the world. Everyone has value for the world, massively at scale. And you've got to take a bit of time to find out what that value is. But when you do, I found out for me, it was called Hunger for the Hustle. It was a podcast. It was a book series. I found out for me, it was my company, Paddock Blade, and the way in which I supply products to people that save them time, effort, and energy. I found out for me, it was a company called X-Fire Australia, which I'm part owner and shareholder in. We supply non-toxic firefighting solutions to people around the world. So when they put a fire out, they don't have to worry about getting cancer afterwards years later. They don't have to worry about killing all the plants and the animals as a result of putting the fire out. So that's what drives my hunger for the hustle. And I hope I've answered that question in a full and complete way that
beautiful
inspires and motivates.
Definitely. Because I actually called this Keys of Success, Legacy Building, and Utilising Leadership Qualities. And so
I like that.
I think we have actually answered quite a bit of that.
Wonderful. I'm going to enjoy on my long drives tomorrow. I've got a lot ahead of me. I'm going to enjoy listening to this back.
Yeah.
How many of these have you done now, Emily?
I'm not sure actually.
Oh, you've done that many. You're not sure? That's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my way through the zodiac as loosely my way of integrating themes into what I'm talking about.
Oh, great. That's very good.
Although we're a bit early, this is kind of the Capricorn themes, because Capricorn is about leaving a legacy, and it is about being in touch with the earth, because it's an earthly sign. But the reason why I put mountains as part of the thumbnail was because Capricorn is its glyph is the mountain goat. So you're climbing those rocky terrains and realizing that what's at top is worth it. I kind of remember there was a film I watched a few years back. It's a very jokey film. It's not the most highbrow film, but it was saying the juice is worth the squeeze, and I was thinking, it's kind of like the mountaintop is worth the long rocky terrain and any sort of struggles and challenges along the way. I'm sure there are many keys of success that you've actually given us throughout these words of wisdom and your journey, and how it will continue to grow through everything for Hunger for the Hustle. And I'm sure that helping out the charity by writing the book, giving it more more awareness, and also any funds that you're able to donate from the book sales and everything, that will also leave an amazing legacy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, that's it's all very true. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to make some impact today. I appreciate it. I do really appreciate it. And I appreciate your support of the book very much, more than you would know. It means a lot to me. Every single person who buys this copy, it means a lot to me. We are giving away 2 free gifts to everyone that buys the copy. You will get those 2 free gifts as well, Emily. So there's so much value in this. It's hard for you guys to say no, and there's so much good intention behind it. I also think that makes it hard to say no. So if you're watching this and you don't have a copy already, so if you're listening to this or watching this later, Google it, Hunger for the Hustle. You'll find the podcast, you'll find the book, and buy one because the price is going to go up soon. I have to be transparent about that. It's $2.99 now at this time wherever you're watching in the world on, oh my days, I forgot the date, on the 10th of December. But it might not be by the time that you're watching this later. So get into it, as they say in Australia, get into it, and get your copy. Get your copy, because it's one of those books that's going to add some value to your life, and who doesn't want to add a bit more value to their life?
Yes. Well said, my friend. So stay hungry, get your copy of Hunger for the Hustle, and thank you so much for joining me, Jake.
Wonderful. Thank you, Emily. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Yeah.